when they take the lives of our loved ones.
That's right.
Mike Freeman is a coward.
Coward!
He runs away every time the community comes to his office, comes to his house. You see how it's dark tonight. Wherever he is, he runs away rather than willing to stand by his decisions. Why does he do that? Because he knows you can't justify murder.
That's right.
That's right.
When our community members call for help, when they're in crisis, when they're in any kind of trouble, we don't need police officers gunning them down with dozens of bullets. And they sure as hell don't need the help of Mike Freeman's office to get away with murder. We are here today because Brian Quinones deserves justice. We are here today because he should be alive.
That's right.
Because his son should still have a father.
Yes.
His mother should still have two sons in this world. His wife should still have him at her side. The death of Brian at the hands of those police officers has to be accounted for.
That's right.
And the one person whose job it is in this county to do the accounting lives in this house.
That's
in
right.
this sleepy, quiet, beautiful neighborhood next to Minnehaha Creek. It is enough. There is no more justice in this county, so there will be no more peace in this neighborhood. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police.
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police.
Hello everybody, welcome. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're here live in southwest Minneapolis in front of Hennepin County Attorney, the lead Hennepin County Attorney's office, or excuse me, Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman. Excuse me. Trying to talk over other people. I'm going to be quiet now.
To cover up for the police, his job is to prosecute people for crimes. Getting people down, murdering people, executing people, shooting people unnecessarily, beating them, and harassing brown and black people all over the city. That is a crime. Many of those crimes are not just moral crimes, but are actually legal crimes, and he does nothing.
Coward!
If we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
If Brian doesn't get it,
Shut it down.
If Brian don't 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 get it,
Shut it down.
if Justin don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Justin don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Marcus don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Marcus don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Philanda don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Philanda don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Jordan don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Jordan don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Phil don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Phil don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Phil don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Isaac don't get it,
Shut it down.
if Isaac don't get it,
And now they're naming a bunch of names of recent local killings by police. The victims. Again, we're here in front of Mike Freeman's house in southwest Minneapolis. This is a protest a day after they announced there would be no charges
on behalf of
against the
Racial
killers
Justice
of
Network,
Brian Quinones.
I just want to say that Brian's life matters, and that is a travesty that, as others have said, the only police officer that Mike Freeman has ever charged in this county for killing a civilian was when he charged Mohammed Noor for killing Justine. there would be no charges for the officers who killed Brian, Mike Freeman did not show up. And he refused to even show up and state that news himself.
Coward!
We have to ask, is he embarrassed by his decision? Is he afraid to stand by what he said? I hope he is tortured by it. I hope he can't sleep at night. And it's not enough for him to say, Graham versus Connor, or whatever the Supreme Court case is, it's not enough for him to stand behind that as though his hands are tied, because as far as I know, I have never seen him on the record challenging any of these Supreme Court decisions, challenging any of these things that allows him to act as the defense instead of a prosecutor for cases. So Mike Freeman, if you really give a damn, then you need to actually start standing up against the very laws that you use to not prosecute killer cops. If you think it's wrong, then you need to stand up.
That's right.
And if you don't stand up against it, if you don't work against these laws, if you don't push back against the system, then you are complicit in it.
Freeman can resign. There's three prosecutors who resigned.
Not the laws, it's the prosecutor.
Resign, Freeman.
Somebody is dead.
I understand
don't
that.
care about
Shut up.
I don't know what chair you're in.
You know what?
Go away.
Ma'am,
Go away.
it's got about 20 feet
Go away. You know what? We don't
Go
care.
away.
Life is over.
I don't give a fuck about you.
Did you
Oh,
ask
thanks
to
for
go
using that language.
away?
My kid's right there.
I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
Yours can wait.
Your kids are watching news. You're listening in process. You know what?
Again, we're in the middle of a residential neighborhood.
Do you want to hear about Mike?
This is the house of Mike Freeman
I have a 14-year-old
here.
son who is black, who lives in the city of Richfield, and the officers that murdered Brian are back on the streets.
Shut
No,
up.
I'm not going to call y'all.
It's
Don't
over.
tone
Yours
police.
can
Do
wait.
not tone police.
No justice, no peace.
There's police officers that are stationed on both sides of the street, up the street right here, and on the other side. There's a few corporate news out here, as you can see in your frame. The man seems to be walking away. He was saying he lives down here.
Yeah, go away.
Close your window.
You. Fuck you. Go
You
away.
know what I'm talking about.
Take your independence. Go away.
Talk to
Try
Freeman
being
about
black,
the problem.
motherfucker.
He won't do anything.
Try being black, motherfucker. It's an inconvenience every motherfucking day. Go ahead, Loretta. It's an inconvenience every motherfucking day.
While you're in this little comfy-ass neighborhood, try living my life, motherfucker. Try living my life.
That's right.
That's right.
You officers who are sitting there looking at us patrol my fucking apartment complex all the time. They're looking for motherfuckers to shoot all the time.
Truth. You damn coward.
They protect your neighborhood, but they're looking to kill my kids. So go fuck yourself.
That's right.
Like he got some damn protection.
If we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
I don't give a fuck about their comfort.
That's right.
I'm uncomfortable every motherfucking day.
That's
right. Right.
Speak truth.
Ashley and her family are uncomfortable every fucking day.
That's right.
They see the cops in their town who killed their loved one every day.
Ashley is Brian's wife.
I have run into Dylan Schultz in my gas station.
My name is Shara Blanche, and as I started to say, I am a resident of Richfield. I lived in Richfield my entire life. Bought my house in Richfield 8 years ago because I wanted my son to have a similar upbringing to mine, except my son is black. And now every time he walks down the street, I have to wonder if one of those officers, 3 of 45 officers in the city of Richfield, are going to be out on patrol and are going to see the same weapon that they saw in Brian Quinones, brown skin. My son is 14 years old. He was 9
when he had his first bad interaction with Richfield police. Mike Freeman had an opportunity to protect my son and to protect the other kids in Richfield, to make those of us who live there maybe feel a little bit safer by taking these officers off the street.
That's right.
And he didn't. And I've actually known Mike Freeman since I was younger than my son. I went to church with him.
Whoa.
And he still doesn't give a fuck.
Still a devil.
And he knows. He knows who I am. He knows my story because we've talked about it before. And he doesn't give a fuck. And he didn't even have the courage to show up and tell Ashley and the family themselves he sent someone else to do his dirty work.
Coward.
He is a coward. I have absolutely zero respect for him, zero respect for the entire system. It is broken, and this is yet another example of the broken system. If we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace!
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace!
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace!
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace!
say his name,
Brian Quinones.
say his name,
Brian Quinones!
say his name.
Brian Quinones!
Anybody else want to say anything? Third time in the second time.
Again, we are here. We're live outside of Mike Freeman's house. Mike Freeman is a Hennepin County attorney. He decided yesterday, made the announcement yesterday to not charge any of the killers in Brian Quinones. 5 police officers, 3 from Richfield, 2 from Edina. Quinones was killed in September. If you want to know more about that, the case and the protests that surround it, go to unicornriot.ninja.
All right, so what are we gonna do? Are we gonna let Mike Freeman go quietly into the night?
No!
Are we gonna let his neighbors ignore what this guy does?
No!
Hell no!
Hell no!
No!
Are we gonna forget the loved ones whose lives have been stolen from us?
No!
No, we're never gonna forget. We are never going to forget.
That's right.
Mike Freeman is a fraud. He has been a fraud the entire time he has held this office.
That's right.
It's time to go.
Yes, thank you. We've called him fraudman more than once, haven't we? How do we know he's a fraud?
Because he behaves like
No humanity.
Because every time he has the chance to choose the right thing, he chooses the wrong thing. When we have another loved one whose life is stolen by police, does Freeman jump to the front of the line to make sure that our loved ones see justice, that their killers are put on trial and have to answer for what they've done? No, never. He never does that for our community, does he?
No integrity.
No integrity.
None.
You might have been seeing a lot in the news about Amy Klobuchar the last couple weeks and about a young man that she wrongfully convicted, Mayan Burrell. But you know who has an accomplice to that crime? Mike fucking Freeman. He brought the second round of trial against Mayan using the same sham evidence to throw an innocent child in prison for life. So sometimes he steals the lives of black and brown and other oppressed people by letting the cops kill them. Sometimes he steals lives by letting people be locked up for life. And if he were the real deal, if he were for justice, he would never do that, not one time. But he does it every goddamn time.
That's right.
Another way he's a sneaky mother. You know, he's got this sign, you can't see it now because it's way up by the door. I was by here earlier today. It's got all these nice progressive platitudes. You know what one of them says? Black Lives Matter. Mike Freeman is such a fucking fraud.
Liar.
No, runs as he should for black lives in this county.
That's right.
That's right.
And Brian Quinones isn't black, but he's Latino. He's a proud Puerto Rican man, an amazing hip-hop artist.
Right.
And Mike Freeman didn't stand up for his life either. Why? Because he's a fucking fraud.
Hypocrite.
He's a hypocrite. He is a prosecutor that doesn't care about the people. I think it's kind of rare that a prosecutor does, I'll be honest. But to be absolutely clear,
Indeed.
this man is against us. Every chance he gets to walk into a courtroom, he does the wrong thing.
Right.
Every time he walks in front of a microphone, he does the wrong thing. He's working on this governor's working group to address police shootings in our state. Folks may have been following the working group, maybe not. Not much to follow because they haven't done shit.
That's right.
Brian's family and so many other families have come to them and poured their hearts out.
Yes.
Poured their hearts out. Activists and community experts have come forward time and again to say what we need. We need community control of the police.
That's right.
Because we don't want to be killed in our streets. We don't want dogs sicked on our community members. We don't want harassment of indigenous, black, and brown folks. We want equality and justice.
That's right. As they talk, police kill.
As they talk, police kill. That's right, Stacy. The fact is, the working group is another fraud that Freeman is a part of.
And we don't want it.
Anywhere you see Freeman, you can trust there's a lie.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Brian deserved better.
Yes, he does.
We're here because Brian and his family deserve the truth. The people of Hennepin County deserve the truth.
Right.
The truth is, policing in our country is fucked up.
Yeah, it
Out
is.
of control.
Police have the right to kill us.
Yes.
They're given the right to kill us, and people like Mike Freeman are the ones that are supposed to stand in the way of the police and senseless murder. And every fucking time, he just leaves the door wide open for the next time. And the next time, the next time. And we have had enough, have we not?
Yeah, we have.
Good enough.
So if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
if we don't get no justice,
They don't get no peace.
no justice,
No peace.
no justice,
No peace.
no justice,
No peace.
no justice,
No peace.
and a little bit longer, no justice,
No peace.
prosecute the police, no justice, no peace,
Prosecute the police.
no justice, no peace,
Prosecute the police. No justice. No peace. Prosecute the police.
no justice, no peace,
Prosecute the police.
no justice, no peace,
Prosecute the police.
no justice, no peace,
Prosecute the police.
No justice,
No peace. Prosecute the police.
no justice,
No peace. Prosecute the police. No justice. 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 No peace. Prosecute the police.
Again, thank you all for joining. We're here in Southwest Minneapolis, where the community is gathered to protest the announcement yesterday that Mike Freeman made that there will be no charges against the officers who killed Brian Quinones. That was made yesterday. Brian Quinones was killed in September. Quinones led police on a short, about a 4-mile pursuit, running a few red lights, going about 40 miles an hour over a 35 mile an hour zone. A little bit over. Police tried a pit maneuver. Quinones stopped his car about 4 miles after the chase started. As I said, the pursuit started, and Quinones got out of his car with a kitchen knife. From having the kitchen knife, he flinched towards the police. They basically lit him up. 5 police officers shot him 18 times. He got hit with 7 bullets. Here's Toshio Garaway. She's the
That you
fiance
know.
of Justin Teigen.
You know what these police are doing to our people.
Justin Teigen was also killed
You
by
are going
police
to
in
rot
her
in the
narrative
same
over
hell
St. Paul
that
Police
the
10 years
rest of
ago.
these officers that are unjustly killing people in the streets. You're gonna rot in the same hell because you're just as accountable.
That's right.
If you know that these murders are unjustifiable for human beings,
Yes, right.
and you are allowing it to happen,
That's right.
but yet you convict one officer, you mean to tell me that one officer out of 400 murders in the state of Minnesota since the year 2000, one officer was guilty, but yet it's because it was a minority man that killed a white woman.
That's
that
right.
man was not guilty
Spell it out.
for what he did. Because if he was guilty, they all would be guilty
That's
for
right.
what they did. He was guilty for the color of his skin when he did what he did. When he killed a white woman. So, you continue to let these officers walk free to hurt more families. And you're just as guilty. Because you know that they are wrong. You know that Brian deserves to live.
That's right.
And if you do wrong, you deserve to get prosecuted. You do not deserve to still be out here on the streets to hurt more families.
Tell
And
it.
because you are allowing this to happen, you are in the position to prosecute these people. And you are allowing it to happen.
Yep.
You will pay like the rest of them is going to pay. You
right.
think that you're walking free. These officers think that they're walking free, but they're not walking free. We must all reap what we sow.
Yes,
Mike
right.
Freeman, you have to reap what you sow. You have to live and know what you're doing to families. That you're letting these officers walk free. And if you're letting them walk free, that means that you're giving them permission to kill another man.
That's right.
And to hurt another family. And you have to live with that. You have to live with that. So we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep being out here saying no justice, no peace. Because unlike you, Mike Freeman, the people that's standing out here, we have a heart for mankind. We have a heart for human beings. Something that you don't have.
That's right.
Right.
God bless you, Mike Freeman, because you're going to need God. You're going to need God. You need God in your heart for what you're doing to human beings. Letting these officers work free, you're just as guilty.
Yeah, you will.
You're just as guilty. So live with that, Mike Freeman.
Get him out of office. You
No
gotta go.
justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No 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 justice, no peace.
Hey, hey. I don't know. I think the button's in.
Test, yeah. Hey, ho, ho! Mike Freeman's got to go! Hey, ho, ho! Mike Freeman has got to go! Hey, ho, ho! Mike Freeman has got to go! Hey, ho, ho! Mike Freeman has got to go! Hey, ho, ho! Mike Freeman has got to go! Hey, ho, ho! Mike Freeman has got to go! Hey, ho, ho! Mike Freeman has got to go! Mike Freeman has blood on his hands. Tonight is about Brian. But let's go back 5 years. A lot of us watched as Freeman stood up there and lied about Jamar Clark to justify not prosecuting his murder.
That's right.
He lied. Now, if just once, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 3 years ago, Freeman had stood up and said, that murder and unnecessary force were not acceptable, some of these officers, some of these police departments would change their behavior. And maybe Brian would still be with us. That is on Freeman's hands. Blood on his hands.
That's right.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Mike Freeman has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Mike Freeman has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Mike Freeman has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Mike Freeman has got to go.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Mike Freeman has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Mike Freeman has got to go.
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the
This chant
police.
is
No justice.
asking actually Mike Freeman to prosecute the police for many, many years.
No justice, no peace.
Again, now they're outside of Mike Freeman's house. The Hennepin County attorney who's in charge of police shooting
No
investigations.
justice, no peace.
Prosecute the police.
No justice, no peace.
Prosecute the police.
No justice, no peace.
Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police.
No justice, no peace.
Again, this is the day after Brian Quinones. Killers were allowed to be basically let off the hook, a lot of people say, or some people say just they won't be charged.
Justice, no peace.
So the 5 police officers who shot 18 bullets at Brian Quinones for having a kitchen knife and leading them in a short pursuit were back on the job very quickly, actually within a few days from my understanding. They've all been at work this whole time, basically getting paid. And now they've been told that they got the green light to shoot him. Some people say they got rubber stamped as another state-sanctioned murder. So some people are playing some of Brian's music.
Yeah, let's do that. There, listen to the music. Like, this was taken from us. Talent has been taken from us. That's unfair.
But I feel alone cause my heart like a mall on a Monday is sent. Look at my contemporaries who's on a wavelength like mine. Hustle ought to be a crime.
And the speaker just ran out of battery.
I feel bad. Y'all saw me get mad earlier.
You don't need to feel bad about that.
Well, I don't feel bad about it. I'm glad I got mad. Because
You shouldn't be mad about this shit.
people in this neighborhood are comfortable.
Yeah, they are.
They live a comfy life. They don't have to worry about the things that I got to worry about.
That's right.
That the Quinones family has to worry about, that Jamar's family has to worry about. The cops that killed their family members get to have their jobs, get to keep their lives. But what of those families? What of all these families? I got Tashira here. What about her? Nobody cares about. They don't care about that. And I think
reaches out to the family. Nobody reaches out to the family.
no,
We just
yeah.
go through it.
It's a shame.
It's Brian Quinones' family member speaking, saying nobody reaches out to the family.
It's a shame that no one's getting justice. Only one person's got justice.
Normally when
All
police
these other
kill
families
people,
suffer.
they do not reach out to the families. They do not thank, but they do not apologize. They do not come and say sorry.
3 million. The woman who was killed by the black officer got 20.
20 million.
20 million.
And money doesn't do shit. It does nothing.
I'm gonna let you talk.
And then I think Jamar Clark got 200,000. They're talking about 20 million for Justine DeMond's family. Jamar Clark, 200,000.
So what do we want?
He said 3 million for Fernando's family.
What do we want?
They're just trying to compare that, and then they say that it doesn't even bring a person back, so money is nothing. We've talked to many of the family members who've gone through this, and they don't want money.
For who?
if they do get money, they're lucky to put that back into the community. Most of the time, that's what's been happening for a lot of folks. They continue on a mission to try to enact some kind of change. A lot of folks have been using the pain and turning it into some power. Unicorn Riot will feature a full documentary on some of those stories that mothers have had who've lost their loved ones to police killings, and how they've turned that pain into power. Expect that this summer from Unicorn Riot, full-length documentary. Again, we're here outside of Mike Freeman's house. Mike Freeman is Hennepin County attorney for the last almost 2 decades. So he's the top prosecutor for Hennepin County. Hennepin County consists of Minneapolis and quite a few suburbs. I think it's the most populated county in Minnesota. Right now we're in a plush neighborhood right by Minnehaha Creek in southwest Minneapolis.
Brian Quinones! Because if we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace.
Again, thank you all for tuning in. If you want to know about the Brian Quinones case, check out unicornriot.ninja. Thanks to Jen on the back end. Thanks to everybody else. Thank you all supporters for allowing us to rock with you for 5+ years now. Again, if you like our coverage, we are only able to do it because of you all. Monthly micro donors are huge. Grantors are huge. People who support us by sharing their work are huge. Thank you all so much.
They can close their doors, but the injustice doesn't end. Because if we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace.
That's right. Right. We'll be back. True. We will be back.
We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Freeman Friday's here.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Attorney Justice for Jamar Clark movement. There's Freeman Fridays every Friday in the Hennepin County Government Center. They would go to his office and attempt to talk to him and persuade him to not have a grand jury. And then from that, he got out of grand juries and started doing investigations himself. But that has not changed the result.
So, what I'm wanting to do,
The result of prosecuting the police and charging them and convicting them.
I want all the families there. I want all of us, because it's going to take all of us, as they have created this system. They have a whole system against us. So it's not one family that's going to bring down a whole system. It's going to take all of our families all together, and everybody in the community that think this shit is bogus and wrong, what they're doing, is going to take all of us to bring this system down together. So we're going to have to be out here together as families, all of us. All of us. There is a meeting tomorrow called Family Supporting Families Against Police Violence.
Minnesota. It's very cold out here. It is winter. Nighttime. Maybe 20 degrees or lower. Not really sure.
The whole damn system is guilty as hell. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police.
If you stick with us, we'll do some interviews in a little bit here.
There's two ways you can go about it. You can either get it done, or you don't. With me, look, no excuses.
I'm a living legend now. I'm a living legend now.
I'm a living legend now. I'm a living legend now. I'm a living legend now. I almost gave up my life. At 20, I wasn't mentally stable. I tried to OD with the pills on the table.
Your boy came a long way, yeah.
That's why opinions about me irrelevant. I could care what they say. That's why opinions in my world don't hold anyway. I got the juice now. I'm a legend. That cool out, I ain't flexing. That I quit the excuses.
It all started jumping.
Look, life isn't written in stone. It don't matter if you on the wrong path. You gotta look at the contrast, yeah.
Pass it on. When you're done, you want to do anything? One time. What song is it called? Okay. So this is Brian Quinones rapping this Bless the MC on No Excuses album. One of the tracks on there. You can find his music on SoundCloud.com. Bless the MC and DatPiff. Alright. DatPiff is DATPIFF. And these are Brian Quinones. Some of his friends and family members are here. There's a lot of community members and organizers are here. And some other ones who have lost their family to police.
Everybody, we're going to wrap it up. We're grateful as a family member myself and as being a friend to Ashley, who I love dearly, and I love little Cameron. I just want to say thank you for being out here to fight for what you know in your heart is right. You're doing the right thing. We are doing the right thing.
That's right.
And we're standing up for other human beings. We're standing out here in the blistering cold to fight for other human beings. And every last one of us has a crown put on our, has a star put on our crown in heaven. And so we're going to close it out with the chant that we always do, a Sada chant that we always do. Okay, Loretta. So, ready? It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
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 All power to the people.
All power to the people.
Thank you. You want to do a video though?
What do you want to ask me?
Maybe be a spokesman of the family? If not, no.
I can't do that.
Do you want to do you think about it? We're live right now. You don't have to. But you can.
Yeah, let me open the trunk of my car because I have all the signs.
Okay. I'm going to talk to a few folks. Again, thank you all for joining us. Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're live here on 52nd and Oliver, South Minneapolis. Oh, word. All right, cool. You can hold this if you want. Yeah, just can you give a rundown of what your perception of the case was since September 7th?
So my perception of the case since September 7th and since the night it happened, I tuned in and saw the Facebook video of Brian very shortly after it happened. I could hear the helicopters circling overhead at my house. I live in Richfield. And my perception from day one was he couldn't have done anything wrong. It was probably an hour or so after he was murdered that I realized that I knew the family, but I didn't know them particularly well. And now, I've been participating in protests since then. Since, it's been 5 months and 3 days, or 4 days now. I've been participating in protests since then, and we have gotten very little response from particularly the city of Richfield. And as a lifelong resident of Richfield, I'm really disappointed in my city leadership. I'm sad. I'm really saddened for the family. I'm fearful because I have a black son, and I'm not going to tell him that he can't be a kid. But I know that out of the officers in the city of Richfield, there's 45 of them. 3 of them have been involved in murdering someone. And so it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying to think about it, and I'm actually considering moving because I can't even stomach the idea anymore. I've run into one of the officers, Dylan Schultz, since he was put back on duty a couple weeks after Brian was murdered, and it was terrifying. I had my son with me when it happened. There have been multiple other incidents involving Richfield police, and here we are again. We've all seen the video, particularly the article that you put out yesterday that provides a really good narrative of what the videos show. And I don't know, maybe Mike Freeman had a different video that we didn't have. But what I saw in all 4 of the videos was a man trying to walk away from the police, not trying to charge at them, not a danger to them, not a threat to them. And I don't make that statement lightly, since I am also the daughter and granddaughter of police officers. I truly understand both sides of it, and I can't understand this, and I will never understand it. It's not fair, it's not just, it's not justice. And this is an opportunity for Mike Freeman to show us what justice actually looks like, and that he actually cares, and he failed once again. He did exactly what he always does, and I'm terrified. I'm terrified as a resident. I'm terrified as someone who has been supporting the family, because the police have already started harassing me. And I'm terrified for my son most of all. So I have no words to say.
One quick question. Thank you for sharing all that. Was Schultz the one who did try to taser first?
Schultz is the one that tried the taser first.
So, what is your interpretation of that? So, there's 5 officers that come to the scene. 4 of them automatically pull their guns. He pulls the taser first, and then throws it on the ground, and then shoots them with the shot after he's been shot so many times. Is there de-escalation tactics?
There's no de-escalation.
What's going on?
De-escalation would look like 1 or 2 shots, maybe, if that was necessary to subdue him, which I don't think that would even be necessary in this situation, because Brian, by the evidence, it looks like he had a kitchen knife in his hand, but it wasn't something that was particularly dangerous. It looked like a steak knife. And so no de-escalation at all. And if they can't de-escalate situations, then what are they doing? Again, it's their fear of brown skin. This is not them trying to take some dangerous criminal off the street. That wasn't Brian, by all accounts. I don't think so. It's been an overwhelming couple of days for me, and of course it's nothing like what the family is going through. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
kiddo.
I'll probably be scared.
Close anyway.
All right.
Yeah, I got some. I'm not staying there.
Does anybody need to walk with me?
All right, Shara. Thanks, girl.
Does anybody
Good.
Bye, Danielle. I'm
All right, Grandpa Donnie. Okay, maybe that's not such a good idea. I'm gonna go to his game and I'll see what he's like after I get off here.
Mike Freeman. Mike Freeman, we're in front of his house. Is this the first time that somebody's gone to his house to protest?
Thank you. Bye, guys.
I don't know if I can answer that question.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah.
I don't have an answer I can give you on the record on that one, my friend. This is the first time we've been at Mike Freeman's house to protest.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So, what brought this about? It's just like, sort of like, hey, don't really know where else to go?
Well, there had been plans to go to Richfield City Council today. Richfield's one of the cities that two of the officers are from that killed Brian. And when Freeman announced his decision yesterday, it was clear to us right away we needed to actually redirect our attention to Mike Freeman. Every time I have been to his office to see him, he has been absent. So we thought we'd see if he's ever home, but he's not here either. That said, I feel very strongly that, you know, here in Southwest Minneapolis, it's the one part of the city that's ever seen anything like justice coming out of his office. So even if he's not here to listen, his neighbors need to hear as well, that the respect that Justine Damon Rushcheck received after she was unjustly murdered by police is the same justice that everyone deserves. And I hope that we reach some of the neighbors with that message. And hopefully some of them will complain to him tomorrow about the noise. Maybe on next door.
Yeah. Okay, everybody's wrapping up and getting out of here. Anything else you want to say in respect to Brian Quinones, justice, anything like that real quick?
I think the thing that's always hard is every family has to hope that this time the county prosecutor will take action. And almost every time they fail. And I think that it's, on the one hand, there's a part of you that you expect it, but it is gut-wrenching and heartbreaking, and that can't be diminished. And the idea that Mike Freeman didn't even show the respect to the Quinones family to meet with them in person and tell them eye to eye what he decided, it's his responsibility. He's a coward, and not only does he turn away from his job of holding police officers accountable when they violate the law, he also shirked his responsibility to the members of the community who were harmed by his decision.
Cool.
Right.
Any last words?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully
Thank you.
I get to speak to you again. It won't be my last words. If it is, I guess I'll see it. Other people will see it on video for sure.
These were the last ones. All right, you take care.
Go. You take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Are you close?
Yep, I'm up the street.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. Again, this is Mike Freeman's house. We're going to bring the stream down. That was a protest in front of Mike Freeman's house. And 52nd and Oliver, there's police on both sides of the block, up and down the street on 52nd. And again, thank you all for joining. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. If you have any other need for information on Brian Quinones, we've interviewed his family members. We've done quite a few reports. There's a vigil that turned into an interstate occupation for a while in September. And so go back into Unicorn Riot's vaults and check that out. You can look at it all from our last article. 1 second. All right. And so, yeah, again, thank you all for joining. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We have Jen on the back end. Thank you for running that. You can bring us down right after this, right after I'm done speaking. Basically, Unicorn Riot survives off of donations from you, the viewer. And thank you all for doing that and allowing us to continue to stream from anywhere, stream from live from Southwest Minneapolis, and be in here and there, and allow us to do our reporting and our investigations and everything else that we do. So again, thank you all for joining, and we're out.